Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Maloney coming back to you from London, Ontario, Canada, with another edition of CWN Predicts. UFC 300 Pereira versus Hill, taking place live tonight, 10 o'clock p.m. on UFC Fight Pass, YouTube, as well as pay-per-view. Prelims start 8 o'clock p.m. tonight on ESPN Plus down there in the States, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus, as well as UFC Fight Pass. And then the early prelims take place 6 p.m. tonight, ESPN Plus for those in the U.S., as well as UFC Fight Pass, taking place from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, to my knowledge, the first time I've ever done a CWN Predicts with regards to UFC, live on air anyways. So if you go and you look, and you take a look at the CWN Online website, I have done UFC predictions in the past with regards to just kind of copy and paste, so to speak. I don't think I've ever done one live, so a little bit rusty. I will butcher, sorry in advance for a lot of the names, but this is this is day one, so to speak. And my plan was to pick up on MMA, UFC, more so this year, to be able to attend a MMA UFC event sometime this year. That is on my bucket list, like I said last night. But with that being said, yes, this is CWN Predicts UFC 300 Pereira versus Hill, taking place live tonight, 10 o'clock p.m. on pay-per-view. So a few notes, and I'll get into my predictions there. Just for anybody who is a historian, UFC 1, the beginning, was the first mixed martial arts event by the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, of course, held at the McNichols Arena in Denver, Colorado on November the 12th, 1993. Royce Gracie won the tournament by defeating Gerard Gordeau via submission due to a rear naked choke. Gracie also defeated Ken Shamrock in the semifinals, and the event also featured Gerard Gordeau, 216 pounds, taking on Tyler Tulu. I will get that right. Like I said, day one, so to speak. 450 pounds, though, in the quarterfinals, with the bout being described as one of the top 5 David and Goliath matchups in MMA history. So, guys, that being said, I was a huge pro wrestling fan up until this point. Still am, by the way. But my best friend at the time, same best friend who were playing football, was like, "Oh yeah, play rugby. It's just like football without the pads." Same thing. It was like, oh, hey, come up. It's like 12:30 in the Maritimes. I'm rocking a St. John, New Brunswick t-shirt, by the way. So that is my hometown. That is where I saw my first UFC pay-per-view, so to speak. And he was like, "Yeah, come see this show. It's not on until about 12:30 at night in the Maritimes." I was like, what are you smoking? And it's like, wrestling takes place at used to take place, I think, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock down there in the Maritimes as far as the pay-per-view went. But he was like, "Yeah, this thing takes place 12:30 at night." And I was like, "Well, what are you smoking? What are you talking about?" That being said, it was UFC. And he's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, all these guys, they battle." I don't know if we watched it live. I'm pretty sure we did watch it live. And this would have been way back in the day, so 1993, whatever pay-per-view was in the Maritimes there. And he was like, "Yeah, these guys, from all different fields, karate people and just badasses and wrestlers and all this sort of thing." He goes, "And just come and watch it with me." And sure enough, I went and watched, stayed up till probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning watching this thing. I was like, I don't want the guy in the gi to win. And the guy in the gi ends up winning. The guy in the gi ends up being Royce Gracie, by the way. And it was, but I remember it, several years later, and it's interesting to see where UFC has. I mean, UFC 300 is taking place tonight. That was UFC 1, the beginning. The names that have taken, the names that have transpired through UFC in the years, 1993, and all of a sudden, 31 years later, almost. And it's absolutely amazing. You think of the Dan Severns, the Ken Shamrocks. You think of Pride existing at one point. You think of Fedor with regards to Pride. You think of Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, obviously, Randy Couture, Brock Lesnar. You've got Conor McGregor. You got Khabib. You've got Sean O'Malley nowadays, John Boney Jones, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's the way it's transitioned, and to know it's owned by TKO, a part of TKO now, affiliate with the WWE, is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, it's I'm still a UFC fan to this day. All these years later, I don't watch as much as I'd like to. I do catch up on the highlight shows, the recap shows. Tonight I'll be watching definitely the early prelims as well as the prelims. Not sure about the main event. I have to explain that to my wife why I spent $60. But that being said, what's that old saying? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. So I'll leave it at that. Two more notes before I get into the card. UFC 100 took place July 11, 2009, Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Can you guys guess what the main event was? Brock Lesnar as champion, taking on Frank Mir, who was the interim champion. Brock beat Frank Mir to become the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world. So that was UFC 100. Fast forward to UFC 200. Miesha Cupcake Tate took on Amanda Nunes, July 9th, 2016, the T-Mobile Arena, which had opened up just months prior. So this is July 9th, 2016, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. Amanda Lioness Nunes defeating Miesha Cupcake Tate, who was the champion, to become the new women's bantamweight champion. So that was UFC 200, which leads me into UFC 300 taking place live tonight, like I said, 10 o'clock p.m. on pay-per-view. So bear with me. Like I said, I'm going to butcher some of these names. I'm getting used to a format, how I'm going to do the prediction show when I do them. I'm going to list basically the bout, as well as some of the highlights, some of the notes with regards to the guys, the competitors, so to speak, and I'll kind of go from there. But I will transition into something normal. I will get better at all of this, but I had to start somewhere. So why not UFC 300? So early prelims taking place. Bantamweight belt. Now, like I said, this is 6 o'clock p.m. tonight. ESPN Plus, as well as UFC Fight Pass taking place. Davison de Dustagura Figueiredo, 22-3-1 lifetime, taking on Cody No Love Garbrandt, who's 14-5-0. Bantamweight bout taking place tonight. Figueiredo ranked number 8, successful transition to bantamweight from featherweight in 2023. And then you got Cody Garbrandt, 1-5 stretch before the pair wins in 2023. So you got somebody with regards to Garbrandt who not necessarily has had a good stretch of bouts the past little while, taking on Figueiredo, who's ranked number 8. Garbrandt is not ranked, but Figueiredo is moved from featherweight up to bantamweight. That being said, 22-3-1. You can't argue with that. So the fact is, I'm going to go, and I will get better with regards to my comments, down the road and this and that. I'm going to stop apologizing as well. But I'm going to say Davison Dustagura Figueiredo for the win in this one in the bantamweight bout. Lightweight belt taken up next. Bobby King Green, 31-15-1 lifetime, taking on Jim A10 Miller, 37-17-0. A lot of history with regards to these guys being competitors. Green is ranked number 14. This is a lightweight belt, by the way. And then Miller, this is astonishing. So I'm talking about UFC 100 with UFC 200. Jim A10 Miller had victories at UFC 100 as well as victories at UFC 200. So victories 100, 200. Could he make it 300? Could he make it that trifecta, so to speak? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Bobby King Green, I believe the past couple of years hasn't had much existence as far as fights go. Jim Miller, just for the sentimental value. When you go back and you look at UFC 100 taking place 2009, UFC 200 taking place 2016, the UFC 300 taking place obviously 2024. Jim Miller, within a span of 15 years, I think that's 15 years. Yeah, 15 years to be able to win back to back to back over UFC 100, 200, 300. I think it'd be absolutely cool. So I'm going to say Jim Miller for the win in this one, lightweight belt. It's going to be interesting there. Next on the prelims, the early prelims, the women's strawweight bout. Jessica Bate Estaca, I want to say I pronounced that right. Andrade, 25-12-0. Lifetime taking on Marita Rodriguez, 17-3-2. Andrade ranked number 4, 1-3 in the last, 1-3 in 2023. Rodriguez ranked number 6, 1-2 in her last 3 bouts. So, I know I've heard the name Jessica Andrade. Marina Rodriguez, obviously a better, with regards to who wins and losses, but this is UFC 300. And when I get to the very end, I'll let you know why this is even more special for the fighters. So I'm going to say Jessica Abate Estaca Andrade for the win in this one here. So 25-12-0. She goes up to 26. That is my prediction there. Lightweight belt coming up. Jalen the Tarantula Turner, love the name, 14-7-0 lifetime, taking on Renato Moicano, 18-5-1. Turner is ranked number 10. Moicano is ranked number 13. This is a lightweight belt as well. Just based on the name itself, I'm going to go the Tarantula Turner. Don't know too much about these guys, but I'll know a lot more after I watch the prelims. As well as the early prelims, I'm going to say Jalen the Tarantula Turner for the win in this one here. Guys, we go into the prelims here. So again, 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. This is taking place on ESPN Plus, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus, and UFC Fight Pass. So this is the prelims taking place 8 o'clock tonight. Sodiq Super Yusuf, 13-3-0, taking on Diego Lopez, 23-6-0, featherweight belt. Yusuf ranked number 13, and he is also a Dana White Contender Series grad. Again, don't know too much about these guys, but based on the fact Dana White's Contender Series, my dad and I have had conversations with regards to that. My dad, I think, said it was a great show. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. Again, I wish I had more time in the day sometimes. But based on a 13-3-3 record, he is ranked number 13. I'm going to say Sodiq Super Yusuf, 13-3-0 record going into this for the win there. Next match with regards to the prelims, women's bantamweight belt, Holly the Preacher's Daughter Holm, 15-6-0, taking on Kayla Harrison, who's 16-1-0. So notes here, Holm ranked number 5, former bantamweight champion of the world. Kayla Harrison, two-time Olympic gold medalist, PFL tournament winner, set to compete in the bantamweight division for the first time in her career, typically competes at 155 pounds, a weight class unavailable to women in the UFC. She came over from PFL. So that being said, 15-6, former champion with regards to Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison, 16-1, hungry, looking to make an impression in the UFC. Obviously had to move weight classes, but based on the fact, two-time Olympic gold medals plus PFL tournament winner, and she just looks like a badass. I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison in this one here, so that could be an upset. But I didn't look at the stats as far as the ups and downs. As far as the draft, not the draft, but as far as if you're betting on, so to speak. But Kayla Harrison looks like a badass, and the fact with that record 16-1, I'm going to say she goes 17-1 tonight. Featherweight bout, so second last bout of the night with regards to the prelims. Calvin Katara, 23-7-0 lifetime, taking on Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, 23-4-0 lifetime. Katara is ranked number 8. Sterling ranked number 2. So Sterling lost the bantamweight title to Sean O'Malley in August of 2023. This is a featherweight belt. So obviously Sterling has moved with regards to divisions. It's going to be interesting there. Ranked number 2 with a 23-4 record. Calvin Katara, like I said, 23-7 record. I'm going to say because he's hungry, because it was only August 2023, he lost that belt to O'Malley. I'm going to say Sterling starts his comeback with regards to this bout here. He defeats Qatar and goes to 24-4-0 lifetime. So that is my prediction there. Main event with regards to the prelims, light heavyweight belt, Yuri Prochazka, 29-4-1, taking on Alexander Rocket Rashik. I'll get that right next time. 14-3-0. Prochazka ranked number 2, former light heavyweight champion, had to vacate the title in November 2022 due to injury, shoulder injury, of course. Rakic, ranked number 5, out since suffering a knee injury in May of 2022. So both of these guys injured 2022. Rakic's been out since May of 2022. 14-3, great record. But Prochazka, he is a name brand. And the fact is, because he had to vacate the title in November 2022 due to injury, I hope he's hungry, and he doesn't look. He is a badass. And fact is, when it comes down to it, I'm going to say Prochazka for the win. 34-1 is going to be his record after this one here. And it put him back. Like I said, he's ranked number 2, so put him back in number 1 position to go after the light heavyweight championship coming up hopefully sometime this year. Guys, from there we go into the main card. Like I said, 10 o'clock p.m. tonight, pay-per-view, UFC Fight Pass as well as YouTube. So it's great. In 2024, you have the ability to watch on YouTube. Main card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big bouts taking place. 3 of them championship bouts. And name value as far as the second one I'll be talking about. But middleweight bout to start things off. Bo Nickel, who's 5-0-0, taking on Cody Brundage, 10-5-0. Nickel, 3-time national champion wrestler at Penn State, went 2-0 in his rookie year in the UFC in 2023. Brundage is on a 2-fight winning streak. Based on the fact he's 5-0-0, 3-time national champion wrestler at Penn State. Don't know too much about these two guys. I will after tonight. Fact is, I'm going to go with Bo Nickel, so I'm going to say 6-0-0 after tonight for him. Lightweight belt coming up next. Charles de Bronx Oliveira, 34-9-0. As far as lifetime goes, taking on Arman Ahal Kalakaks. I'm sorry, I butchered that. I will get that right next time. Tusagrukin, I will get that right as well. I'm going to call him Armin for the time being. I apologize, but like I said, this is show one. I will get better. He is 21-3. Oliveira ranked number one. I don't know if the T is silent. Sarukin ranked number 4. 21-3 record is impressive. Oliveira, though, it's Charles Oliveira. He could go either way. 34-9, like I said, with regards to his lifetime record. Lightweight belt, ranked number 1. I'm going to say he's hungry. He's going to go after it. So I'm going to say Oliveira for the win in this one here. I don't know, TKO. I don't know if it's going to go the distance. Oliveira, I believe, has a history of going the distance. So I'm going to say Oliveira in for the distance, 35-9-0 after this bout there. So last 3 bouts of the night, guys. We got championship bouts, BMF championship bout. I will not swear on the show, but Justin the Highlight Gaethje, champion, 26-4-0, taking on Max Blessed Holloway, 25-7-0. Gaethje has been champion since July of 2023. He is also number 2 ranked lightweight in the world as far as UFC goes. Max Blessed Holloway, I mean, he's one of those guys that can come out of nowhere and just kind of, win and take you out. With regards to Justin the Highlight Gaethje, he is called the Highlight for a reason. He is the BMF champion. I cannot see him losing this. He is, like I said, number 2 ranked lightweight in the world. So 27-4-0 after this. I'm going to say Gaethje to retain, and still after this to retain the BMF championship. Co-main event for the UFC Women's Strawweight Championship. Zhang Weili as champion, 24-3-0, taking on Yan Xiaonan. 17-3-0. So a couple notes here. First all Chinese championship fight in UFC history. That is pretty cool. UFC 300, that's taken place. Weili, champion since November 2022, and Xiaonan is number 1 ranked. So that being said, it's going to be a battle, I think. It could be an upset, but I think it's going to be a battle between these two. With regards to Weili's record, 24-3-0, I do not see her losing tonight. Co-main event, first all-Chinese championship fight in UFC history. Obviously, Yan is going to look to make an impression, but Zhang Weili, one of those ladies who just basically defines that division. And, it's, champion versus number 1 ranked. But, and like I said, I'm still getting used to the UFC once again. But fact is, when it comes down to it, I'm going to say Zhang Weili for the win in this to go 25-3-0 and to retain the UFC Women's Strawweight Championship there. Finally, guys, main event time, and I'm just going to adjust my notes here to make it easier to read. So main event time for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World, named for UFC 300. Alex Poatan, Pereira, champion, 9-2-0, taking on Jamal Hall. Sweet Dreams Hill. I'm sorry I got that name wrong there. 12-1-0. Pereira, in 2 years, he's won 2 belts, 2 divisions, going 6-1 overall. Hill, number 1 ranked, claimed the vacant light heavyweight championship in January 2023. Again, injury, suffered a torn Achilles tendon in July 2023 and was forced to vacate. So here you get a champion with Pereira, 9-2, taking on Sweet Dreams Hill. I will get the names right for next time. 12-1. Do we see an upset? Does Pereira come out on top? Does Hill, again, suffered a torn Achilles tendon in July 2023 and forced to vacate? He's got to be hungry. He's main event. He's UFC 300. He's battling for that title. It's sometimes easier to knock off the champion for the champion to actually retain. That being said, how hungry is Hill going to be tonight? 12-1 record. I'm going to say it's going to go 13-1 tonight. I'm going to say Sweet Dreams Hill for the win as new champion, new UFC light heavyweight champion for tonight. And that is my prediction there for the main event. So, guys, to go through it once again, UFC 300 taking place live tonight, 10 o'clock p.m. Pay-per-view UFC Fight Pass and YouTube. Prelims 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN Plus, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus, UFC Fight Pass. Early prelim, 6 o'clock p.m. tonight, ESPN Plus, UFC Fight Pass. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it's going to be interesting, and we'll see how well I do at the end of the night. Definitely, like I said, be watching the early prelims and the prelims. Not sure about the main event, but I will see the highlights and all that sort of stuff, of course. Next one I do, whether or not be UFC 301 or I do them in the 5s or whatever the case may be, I will get the names better. I will get the names right. You'll see me more talk about this with regards to the Throwdown, Chris Maloney, with regards to UFC and MMA in general. It is on my bucket list to be better at it by the end of the year. And this is where I start. I start right now tonight. So yeah. And of note, so if those bouts, those 26 fighters on this show, 13 bouts in total, wasn't great enough. This came courtesy of Sportsnet. So if the 26 fighters set to compete at UFC 300 didn't already have ample motivation to earn a memorable victory and put on a show on Saturday night, then perhaps Thursday's announcement from Dana White was the sweetener they needed. The UFC president announced, or more accurately, was goaded into boosting the UFC 300 Performance of the Night and Fight of the Night bonuses to $300,000 as opposed to the usual $50,000. That is courtesy of Sportsnet. So if the motivation to become champion, the motivation to put on a great show, a great fight at UFC 300 wasn't good enough, Fight of the Night highlights $300,000 bonus. My God, you go from $50,000 to $300,000. That is absolutely insane. But you know what? It is UFC, so it's going to be an interesting night. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top, and it's going to be interesting to see how well I do with my first live predictions with regards to the UFC. So yeah, I don't think I did too bad. I didn't butcher too many names. I know I did, but I'll get better for next time. As always, guys, check me out at Chris Maloney CWN with regards to social media. That is Instagram, X, as well as Reddit and Threads. You can check me out, Chris, at CWNonline.ca. Let me know how I did. Let me know, what I should be doing better. Let me know what you want to see with regards to CWN Online, with regards to shows and this and that. But it's been enjoyable. A little bit nervous going into this one, but I think I got through it pretty well. And check it out, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, as well as on audio with regards to Spotify, as well as iTunes. Is it iTunes or Apple Podcast now? I think it's called Apple Podcast now. But it's been enjoyable. As far as the next couple of shows go, they will not be. I've done 3 of 3 for this week. I've got 3 more coming up. So it'll be one next week. So Thursday or Friday, that'll be the Throwdown with Chris Maloney, episode number 11. That'll be Thursday or Friday, not both days. My God. And then you will see CWN Predicts with regards to Rebellion for TNA Wrestling taking place next Saturday, a week from today. And then next Sunday, you will see CWN Predicts with regards to AEW Dynasty taking place live next Sunday. So 3 shows this week, 3 more shows next week. I'm enjoying this, guys. I'm still thinking of what I can do to make CWN better. I'm thinking about not necessarily changes, but ways to spice up the website, the podcast, whatever the case may be. But, as always, thank you very much for watching and listening. I'm enjoying the stats, the website stats, of course. I will probably talk about that this week because it surprised me when I checked them out. I was like, holy crap. My wife was even surprised at what is going on with CWNonline.ca. That is pretty cool. The podcast, I'm slowly bringing it back. So it's been nice doing the show since WrestleMania weekend. Like I said, 3 this week, 3 next week as well. So, it's exciting. But, guys, that is it for another edition of CWN Predicts. It's been UFC 300 Pereira versus Hill taking place live tonight, 10 o'clock p.m. pay-per-view, UFC Fight Pass, as well as YouTube. And guys, that is it until next Thursday or Friday with the next edition of the Throwdown. Chris Maloney, thank you very much for watching and listening as always, and I will talk to everybody again sometime soon.